go.
Now,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in the
we
neighborhood.
got some
It's a
eyes up
beautiful day
there.
for our neighbor.
There we go. Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
it's still not showing anybody. Is there anybody out there? Yeah, there's some people.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Hello.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your host, Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wacky Works Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast, episode 34. I'm Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, and today we have the man that does not let a good bow go to waste, Kimani with Van Stray Designs. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. How you all doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
well.
So we're going to get it started and just like to know if you give us a little background on how you got started doing this maker thing here.
I think I've always been into kind of the creative aspect. I went to school for photography, so my background and degree is actually in photography. I was a commercial photographer and a photo assistant in Atlanta for like over 10 years. And then I met my now wife. We moved out to Alaska. And wasn't much of a field for what I did out in the tundra, so I switched over into IT work. We decided, after we got married, we wanted to do the family thing, so we moved to Seattle, Washington, where we are now, Tacoma, Washington, where we are now. And we bought our first house, and that was the first time I actually had a garage with like a workbench in it. And I think I kind of started delving into the making as a lot of people do, where we just bought a house, so we're house rich but poor everything else. So it was like, oh well, we need an entertainment center, we need a little bit of furniture, and I was like, I can make that. And so went to Home Depot and went very industrial, and got some 2x12s and some galvanized pipe, and just kind of started putting stuff together till it looked like furniture. And from there, I just kind of started, kind of got the bug, and I was like, well, what else can I do? And, I made my first cutting board, and that was like the gateway for everybody else. It's like,
yeah.
you can make a cutting board. Can you make me a table? I was like, table's just a big cutting board, right? Sure. Why not? But yeah, I just started kind of like I said, after that, people asked me to make stuff. I started digging a little deeper. I got to hang around some people who were doing it professionally. So that kind of, filled in any of the gaps I had, because I didn't have any family who did woodworking. So this was a whole new realm for me. Like, I could take pretty pictures of it, but making it pretty was the process.
All right, Kimani. And for people at home, my name is Jake Thompson. I'm from Northside Custom Crafts, and I usually do an icebreaker. My icebreaker for you, Kimani, is how did you not kill that delivery driver? How that was all the restraint in the world.
My wife's a lawyer, so I can't do anything criminal on film. And I had at least 2 cameras going at the time, so and she was in the yard, so there's one angle of the video, or one of the videos I think on my YouTube page, where you can hear her go, "Oh no!" So it was shock and disbelief, where I'm watching it happen, and in my brain is like, that's gonna fall, and it's like, that's not gonna fall. It looks like it's gonna fall, and then it actually happens, and I was just stunned. I was just like, I could not mentally like move or do anything, and just go, and it was on the ground.
So that guy, it falling wasn't a problem for me. Like, stuff happens, but the level of don't care that guy had was astronomical.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I was in shock from it falling and it took a while to process him just kind of going like, oh well. like this is not the first time this has happened to him.
He's that guy.
Yeah, and the real kicker that I think I showed in a later video was that I had to help him figure out how to get the saw back onto the truck because he was just trying to like scoot it and drag it with the forklift. And I was like, dude, like I don't know how many brain cells are left, but you gotta figure that out. So I went and had to go like get some scrap and go help him make like a wedge so he can lift up the pallet and then push it on to the back onto the truck. And yeah, the kicker for me is like he goes, I totally understand if you don't want to sign for that. Like, I was like, yep. Where do I put on this paper that I don't want this? And he's like, just anywhere, just you can say it fell. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna as far away from the accepted line, like it fell, don't want it, So yeah, pure shock is the short answer of that.
That was quite the restraint you showed. Just congratulations on that.
So
I think a lot of people were that day when he put that out. It was like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was like, what's with, I think that was the most common reply on there was like, what's up with that driver? Like he had, dude, it felt like dude had nothing left in the tank. He was just like, no, this is how I start my day. All right.
Wow.
It was pretty terrible.
Yeah, wow.
Hi, Kimani. I'm Jen with Jen's Turn, and I am sorry about your table saw. When my laser got delivered, it teetered like that because it came on a big truck like that. And the guy, he actually cared. He was nervous. He kind of turns around and goes, it leveled out and stayed where it was supposed to stay. So it got delivered safely, but it was close. So when I saw yours, I was like having flashbacks of what could have happened to my laser. But speaking of lasers, that's my question. So I have an OhmTech, and I saw that you have an OhmTech, but I'm not sure which one you have. So which model do you have, and how do you like it?
I have the 80 watt red and black. I think it's like the 20 by 28 bed. I like it. It's good. I want something with a little bit more power. Once you, I decided to jump into lasers with the biggest I could afford at the time and what I felt made sense for the shop. And it was very quick that I discovered that once people know you have a laser, they try to find the biggest thing they can to shove in it. So it was just a lot of people like, hey, can you put this in there? Like it's a little wooden bow tie. We want it engraved. I'm like, sure, no problem. And then they go, hey, I have this giant wooden cookie. Can you put that in there and engrave it? And I was like, I'll see. Like, it was just every like one thing after another. The ideas just kept getting bigger and bigger. But I like it. It was a great learning experience. Just having to go through the process of getting it adjusted and measuring everything out. So it was a great way to like, if I'm going to start on a laser, to learn how to do it and learn all the background of it. So that way, if something is off down the road, I can figure out, I can, back treat, it's like, oh, my lasers, my mirrors are misaligned or something like, and I've been able to use that information to go help a friend of ours to, I drove it to her house and fixed her laser, and hers was so weird because I'd get it aligned. And the minute I ran it back and forth and did stuff, like there was always a spot that would get out. I was like, how is this possible that like I've dialed this in? Like I know it's dialed in, like I'm getting perfect results until I move it. Turns out somehow her mirror one was loose inside the housing. So every time you move the machine, on the X, on the X, it would just jiggled out of place. So the minute I was, about to pull my hair out, which I had a lot more at the time, but
you're still doing pretty good in that department, by the way. You're doing all right.
But the minute I figured that out and I tightened it down, she's been solid. She just moved to a new house and she was, she's like, I might need your help, but she's like, nope, we're dialed in. So it's been good. I haven't had any problems with it. And, like I said, but I am looking to probably get something, just a bigger bed frame to just open up a few more options for me.
Yeah. Nice.
You had a lot of problems, didn't you, Jen, with yours? You got it going.
Yeah, you could call mine a learning experience also.
Which one do you have?
Yeah, I buy blue tape in bulk.
Yeah. He asked which one you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I have the 2440, the 100 watt, because I knew that, like you said, I'm going to want to go bigger. So I bought the biggest I could. And yeah, it takes up a good chunk of floor space, but I am happy with it. The only problem I've had, besides trying to get it aligned initially, because I'm stubborn and wouldn't ask for help, is the Y stepper motor went out just a few weeks after having it, but they sent one to me really quick as a replacement, and I haven't had any issues.
Oh, that's nice, because normally my experience with customer service was a long one. Upon testing and thinking I had like everything dialed in, I found out that my laser tube was bad because I was getting a donut from the front mirror, and so I was like, I was watching a video. I was like, all right, it's kind of cutting. It's kind of not. I mean, it's doing okay, but it's not like fully where I want it. And then I just checked the Facebook forums, and somebody's like, oh, hey, if you see this donut, your laser's bad. And I'm like, say what? Like after 2 rolls of blue tape, this is where I am. So, but yeah, I had to go back and forth with them for a bit to like, oh yeah, just increase your power. It's like that doesn't fix it. But luckily, the admins in the group were like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get you straight. So yeah, I got a new tube. Made another video about it. So, and it's been, like I said, it's been great ever since.
Awesome.
Nice. Hey everybody at home, I'm Matt with Wacky Works. Come on, you said that you started out with a bench inside your garage. What do you got going on now in your shop?
So I still have that same bench, but I've converted it into my miter station. I've added a couple of more workbenches. I won one from a builder's challenge, so I got like an armor tool dog hole bench. And then is that like just like general tools and setup in the shop altogether? Because I got so as people have seen, I have a table saw now.
Yeah, you do.
A good one, not the one on the ground.
Yes, perfect delivery. CNC machine, laser, and then like the usual odds and ends. So I'm fairly decked out where I need to be. A drum sander, bandsaw, that kind of stuff. So my original idea was like, I'll just make a bunch of end grain cutting boards. It's a nice creative project. It'll go well. So I kind of went to like get a bandsaw and a drum sander, and I've made very few end grain cutting boards since then, and a whole lot of other projects. So yeah, good. I have a good workaround. I'm still trying to find that right configuration of where to put everything. I'm always kind of like walking around the table saw or around something else, so I'm always trying to figure out like what's the best way to like get it. But I've zeroed in on putting all of my dust making tools in the back of the garage in the same corner, so I can just move that one hose like to in a circle and call it good.
I think we're always on version 6 or 7.
I have a 5-year shop tour video I'm working on, because every year I tell myself I'm gonna make one, do the video. I decide to rearrange my shop and it becomes a mess. I was like, all right, well, we'll just see how next year looks.
Yeah, that's a never-ending process, man. I don't care. You'll get it all set up and you'll be like, oh, this is the perfect setup, and then it's like, no, let's change it up a little bit now. Here we go again.
I'm waiting on something right now. It's a upgraded workbench. So if that comes in next year or early next year, I will take the time off from work, clean up the shop, and do at least one shop tour video where it looks fairly decent. And then if somebody asks for an update in a year, I'll like, well, it looks totally different, but here we go.
Nice.
All right. Hello, Kimani. First of all, I'm Jamie from JP Woodwork. So sticking to the subject of your shop, what made you decorate your shop walls like an episode of CSI?
Well, you got to hide the blood.
There you go.
Actually,
He's a lawyer.
Exactly.
Right. Well, my original walls, if you've seen my 5-year shop tour video, that's still on my computer. I used to have just a bare walled shop, no insulation, no nothing, and there's only like a certain amount of time during the year where that really works out for me. But as soon as summer hits, it's terrible. As soon as winter hit, it's terrible. So I was finally like, okay, let's work towards maybe getting a little insulation in. Well, during COVID, I got furloughed from my job. So having that conversation with my wife, she was like, well, maybe it's time to, double down on this woodworking thing and kind of go full time with it. Cause you don't currently have a job. So, a buddy of mine he used to work on a insulation business, and he kind of helped me out and got me some insulation. And the white walls are a white metallic plastic. It's like a vapor barrier and insulator. So the walls got insulated, the roof got insulated, everything is covered. And I was like, photography background, I'm like, white walls bounce around a lot of light. So I don't really have to worry about, lighting, specific lighting for the area. So, to see everything. So yeah, it does look like a Dexter's kill room, but it's great for bouncing light around and getting good shots in the shop. So
there you go.
Well, this is, let's just say, I know a while back I asked you and we were laughing about this. Has the Capex come out of the box yet?
I got a video that I'm working on to answer that question, Joey, but just because I'm here, I'm going to say no.
Joey, is yours?
Nope.
All right.
So, I actually looked at the box today when I was cleaning the shop. I was like, oh yeah, I need to probably use that one of these days.
I just built my first whiskey box, and there were so many little miters on there. I was like, man, if I had a miter saw, that'd be real good right about now. As I walked around the box to get to my sanding station. So yeah, I was working. I'm waiting on to get the new stuff for my new miter station. So in my head, I'm like very process oriented. I was like, I want to get the new miter station in, get it set, and then put the Capex on it versus having to like take it off and redo the setup again. So, I could take it out the box right now, but I was like, well, then I gotta, move it again. So let me just wait. It's fine. It's just move it to the side. It's okay.
That's exactly my thoughts. I haven't built the miter saw station, so it's going to sit in the box. We'll get it out when we need it.
Yeah, I still got my DeWalt sitting in the corner. It does, every now and then it pops up. It's like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Well, here's a nice follow-up to that. Is your Bamboo Labs 3D printer out of the box yet?
Yes, it is. It is. That thing came out. It didn't come out of the box very fast, but it only took me I'd probably say about that week, and I took it out. So it is out the box. It is printed multiple prints and like 2 very large prints. So yeah, that thing is awesome. I'm only slightly upset that I did not attempt to offload my Prusa earlier, because it's pretty much impossible at this point. So now I have 2 3D printers.
So to just follow up on that, I have Bamboo Labs. I think we all do almost at this point, but I bought it for specific things. What specific things did you get to make with it?
Honestly, I didn't have too many. So when I first got my 3D printer, I was like, I'm gonna make jigs for my CNC machine, so I'll be able to make hold downs and clamps and some other stuff. And if I wanted to make a ring light for my spindle, so I was designing that and printing prototypes and stuff so I can do a custom ring light on it. So while I'm working on the pieces, and I figured, oh, well, if it works out well, then maybe I'll make more of these ring lights and post up how to do it, and either, sell the file, sell the physical product, or something like that. So, but the main thing was I can use this tool to make other tools for my other machine. So I can make hold downs for the laser. I can do stuff for the CNC machine. You know, I may make a jig that goes on the table saw at some point just for like a measuring thing. So that was the main thing of getting the Prusa when I first got into 3D printing. Getting the bamboo was really just a quality and a time thing. I had a friend of ours, Dave, 3D Dave, print. I designed this tray that I was going to do a silicone mold of. And I just kept getting wavy lines in it. It just didn't look right. And so I was like, I sent the file to Dave. I was like, hey, Dave, can you print this real quick and just, print this and just let me know how it turns out. And so he printed it and it came out super smooth, looked just the way I wanted. And he was like, I was like, oh man, how many hours did that take? He's like, oh, it took about an hour and a half. And it's a 4.5 hour print on my machine. And I was like, I'm done. I was like, I will Black Friday. As soon as I see a sale, I'm done. Let's go. So, yeah, but I would just, I want to make some 3D. I want to do make some more molds, do some more silicone molds, custom things for a couple of just different projects, and just to experiment with it. So I worked with a different epoxy company, and they're making a silicone formula. So they sent me some of their stuff. So I'm going to make them a custom cube and then, mold it out and then do a resin pour of it. So,
nice.
Yeah. So just different ideas. If I can find a thing to support a local business where like something I can 3D print for them, makes a little bit of money and just kind of goes back into the shop, sure. But overall, I think just as letting me like prototype and try out new things in the shop is where it's really at right now.
Cool. Yeah, they're super awesome. I love them, man. That's the best thing, going from these to that. I mean, it's like, yeah, man, it's wonderful.
Make like a honeycomb for pin blanks and stuff like that. But the coolest thing is I just made a little jig to help me drill straight holes.
Yeah. And it's just, and I'm learning Fusion. So being able to learn Fusion and just do simple tasks like that and then just have something just spit out within like an hour or two is amazing. And I've done 2 fairly large, prints, and they both came out amazing, which I've had so many issues with my previous machine. Part of it was probably user error. The other part was just getting that thing calibrated properly is such a process. And I bought the version where you have to put everything together. So I put everything together, the full 8 to 12 hours of just like every little screw, every little nut, kind of getting it in there. And still like, some stuff printed great. Other stuff was just like one side of the bed just would never level. And, I found out later that was because of a loose screw. But, I found a lot more repeatability and security in getting the bamboo like on day one versus my other printer.
3D printer world is one that I'm, like Jake says, he's in spending time out. I'm in crafting time out. No more new tools.
No more new stuff.
No more new stuff.
Yeah, you'll say that, and then it'll be like, oh, look at this.
I had a coupon.
I got a coupon at Rockler. I had to pick up this drum sander,
Hey, speaking of drum sanders, that's my next question, Kimani. Everyone that watches the show and all the guys know I want a drum sander. Mm-hmm. And I saw your video recently of your drum sanders and the hassle of changing the sanding.
Mm-hmm.
The sanding strip? My mind just went
paper.
like
sanding paper.
The paper. Paper. Did anybody reply with any good tips to help you out, or you just?
No, it's like a wave of sympathy of other people who've been like, I hate changing the paper. That's always a problem. I think one person was like, oh, I usually do mine from the opposite direction, which is the way I normally do it. But the problem I run into is I'll do that. And then because of where that the clip is in connection to the motor, it's really hard to like get in there, and it doesn't feed the same way as on the other side. So after doing it a couple of times and finding out that I'm stretching it too tight and not leaving enough room for the belt to shift and move, on that on that right side next to the motor, the paper would overlap and cause burning or rip completely. So I ruined a couple of strips that way. So I decided to just start that way and move over, and I've had a lot less issues.
Good tip.
So, but yeah, once you, like I said, once you get that first one in and it's locked and secured, and just slow roll it the other way, you get a lot more leeway on the opposite side because it's open. So you can, adjust and reshift your paper and then get a nice, you leave a little bit of, space in between each wraparound, so that the belt can like shift back and forth.
Okay.
Nice. There you go, Jim.
That's a real
You're ready
problem.
to rock and roll. Just pull the trigger.
Well, the follow-up to that is the dust collection, because I don't have I don't have a big dust collection. I just have the little Festool vat. You were saying you changed the hose. Do you have the big dust collection, and then you have a 4-inch hose that you move from machine to machine? Is that how you're doing it?
I have the 4-inch hose with like the Rockler quick connect thing. So I just bounce it to the four big machines in that area. But yeah, I would say get some type of large 4-inch intake dust collection for that. Even if you get like the Harbor Freight special, it's like $200, but you can find a coupon and make it down to like $150 or something, or find it online for like $75 somewhere. Yeah. I would say do that because it releases so much fine dust. You want to make sure that you're really having enough volume to kind of like suck that in, and make sure it stays in the vacuum, in the dust collection, and out of the air.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm, right now I have the dreaded task of, I've been looking at my dust collection bag as it's reaching that line of like, you got two choices. You watch this explode or you change the bag. So my, before I do any other project.
Doesn't sound like a choice.
Nope. Yeah. I mean, people have made that choice and it's been bad for them. So
I always have a choice.
Yeah.
One more project out of this. One more.
It's like, I'm not doing that much sanding. And then, so it's starting to do that slit where it's like, it dumps the dust in, but it's like, I don't have many other places to go. So I'm going to go record myself doing that as a friendly reminder, everybody, to like, go change your dust collection. I know you hate it. I hate it. Let's just go do it.
So you have the Onefinity Journeyman, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What you just did the upgrades, which curse you for that. Was it worth it? And I mean, tell me about it. Is it worth it? Because I'm really looking. I actually got the page open with the click button on it right now. So
yes, it's worth it. So I have not put it through its paces, but the reason that I did the upgrade, one, I'm a gadget head, so I like new things. But two is that it opens up a lot of doors to down the road enhancements that I wouldn't be able to get with the standard controller. So there's been a project I've had kind of kicking around for the last year and a half with a buddy of mine, and it essentially requires a rotary. Either I have to do a two-sided 3D carve, or I have to have a machine with a rotary or a lathe or something like that to do it, because it's a cylindrical tower. So to do that, I was like, all right, well, what do I have? Like I could buy a dedicated CNC that just does rotary, but that's a really big investment for a project. I don't know if it's going to go farther than, making one or two, or this, that upgrade allows me to add a rotary. You can down the line add an auto tool changer, touch probe, all that kind of stuff. So you get a lot of the high-end features with this upgrade that you wouldn't be able to get unless you paid like for a $20,000 $30,000 CNC machine, in a, $5,000 to $6,000 kind of package. So it's just the potential is there to open up more doors to do more creative projects. And so I just wanted to take that opportunity to when the opportunity presented itself, I just wanted to jump on it and just make sure I'm there and I'm ready. So if this project does take off, I can do the rotary, I can do the add-ons and stuff like that. And if it became bigger, I would get a dedicated machine just to run that project. Kind of like our buddy Scott.
Yeah.
Yep.
Easier.
Just do it. Just do it.
I mean, the main question is that do you see yourself doing, more intense carving or larger projects, or do you want the auto tool changer? Do you want the rotary? If that's not a thing that you really see yourself getting into right away, then you don't have to look for it. You can upgrade the motors to the Pro Series and get, stronger motors to allow you to get more accurate and, more power. So there's an in between from the elite upgrade to just like the Pro Series. So that's always an option.
Well, you see, you said the wrong word. You said want and not need. I want it all.
No, I'm right there with you. I just
yeah.
So I've noticed a few comedy sketches on your Instagram. What made you start doing them?
Boredom.
That's it. That's a good reason to start.
I mean, just putting out. So I've always been a little bit of cut up. When I was in middle school, I actually took drama. So I took, I had acting classes and performance stuff in my background, and that kind of led into some of the creative, other creative realms that I did. So I've just always had that kind of. I'm an introvert with a closet extrovert personality. So. I'm very comfortable sitting on my couch, watching anime and just, designing stuff on my laptop. But, you put me in the right setting. I was like, all right, let's go. Like, you got an idea? I'll run with it. But every now and then I'll get like a random idea that just sticks with me. And if I can't shake it, then I have to create it. And then once I create it, I put it out there and I'm like, all right, I'm done. Whether people think it's hilarious or not, I was just like, as long as I get that out of my system, then I can move on to the next thing, and I don't have that thing buzzing around in the back of my head like, hey, you should do that voiceover thing. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Kind of like the table saw telling you it's going to kill you.
Exactly.
That was funny.
whoa. I just, I'm, like everybody else, I'm sitting here doom scrolling on Instagram, and, I come across an audio, and I'm like, my brain, if I think it's funny, my brain immediately goes like, how could I use that? Or like, how could I make that relatable to, the maker world that we do? And I was like, oh, yeah, and it was just like table saw. Table saw is one of the scariest things, in the shop next to like the router table. So somebody was like, oh, I love that video. You should do the rest of the tools in the shop. And I was like, well, the router table would be up next. So I think I saw somebody today who they were doing a wine caddy, and they were like routing it out, and I think they were going the reverse way, and it just took off. And so you're just watching the wine caddy spin around on the bit. So.
Oh, that was kind of a good segue into mine. I was going to ask you how much time is spent, because you've had some doozies that you put out there. Hilarious. I'm just curious how long this takes you, because y'all had a pretty good one this weekend. Or this past week, it was great, but you do a lot. And which one is your favorite one to this point that you've created?
Oh, so I think it's a lot. It's more of the thought process behind it that takes the most time. Like once I figure out what I want to do, I can go in the shop and knock it out in like maybe, half an hour, depending on how detailed the idea is. So like that part doesn't take too long. Like if I do the collab video with Lee and doing the music video and the lip syncing, that stuff, took all of probably 30 minutes. And that was because I overcome. I was like, oh, where are my lights so I can do like color effects? Where's my other stuff? Like I just start finding more things to like add on to it. But some of the other stuff that I've done, when I did the music video, that one was just a a bunch of words that had jumbled up in my head until I finally like wrote it down on paper and then typed it into my computer and then like edited. And finally, when I thought it made sense, I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to do this. And it, I did that in like, about an hour or two, and then just kind of worked on the edits. So I think to date, the big glue up video was fun because that was the first like original song kind of thing I'd ever made, and it was just kind of fun to do. There's been people who told me they liked the sanding video that I did where it's like that guy from that Be a Man series, and it's like sand to your dead and then keep sanding and collect time and a half. So there's a guy, somebody told me that one was their favorite. So I kind of like I don't know if I could pick like a like one that I look at, I'm like, this was really good. It might be my like one of the first ones I did, but it wasn't even like a full-on comedy thing. It was like when I got my first Festool tools and my Merca sander. It was like one of my earlier videos once I like during this like right when COVID hit. That one was always fun just because I like the song. So yeah, there's a couple out there.
Which one was the one? Was it you went to get a tape measure and then like everything's talking to you?
Yeah.
Dude, that was one freaking great.
That was one of the ones that got me in touch with Harvey. So yeah, my little hit it with the square video. And the tape measure. Everybody loved that tape measure. I feel like I need to like bring it back, but yeah, the tape measure just pops out and like, I'm over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that was great.
I still have the little top hat and hands that I made for it. So I may need to bring that back for a video. But yeah, a lot of people love that one.
That was a good one.
So speaking of the Instagram stuff, do you have yourself on a posting schedule, or is it just whenever it happens, or how do you do that?
I've tried, or I've thought about like kind of doing it, and it's only when I have material in bulk. So if I have a good amount of, if I've done a project and I can section that off, then I'll go like, oh, I'll do this, like I'll post a little bit every other day. If I find a song that it works with, I'll kind of like chop it up and do it. But I've tried to stick to schedules, and I've tried to like follow the Instagram influencer type people and like, oh, post every day at this time and do this and do that. And honestly, it's so hit and miss that I've tried to stop myself from stressing out about not posting. So there'll be a week where I'll post like maybe 2 to 3 times in a week, and then there'll be weeks where I won't post anything for like 2 weeks, and I'll get to the end of that second week, and I'm like, oh, I haven't really posted anything. Nah, that's all right, because I talk to people in my stories if I'm doing anything, or I engage with the community enough that it doesn't really click that I'm not posting a video or I'm not creating any sort of content. And so I kind of go in waves, whereas like I have a lot of videos, I want to chop them up, I want to post them in this order because it's a series. And then other times where it's like, I have throwaway content where I was like, oh, this looked kind of interesting and it works with this song. So, just because I haven't posted anything in a while, I'm just going to throw it up there. And that's the stuff that gets like 20,000 views.
Yep.
So
we'll go through those spells where we're over there. Like for a while there, we were doing it every day. We're trying to rule the world and all that stuff. And then when we stop, then we get followers.
Yeah.
Like how does that even make sense?
If you stop, I'll follow you.
They're rewarding me for stopping.
Please, no more. We'll give you whatever you want.
It's that Instagram's funny. I tell you what, it doesn't really matter. I still get the same amount of views if I wait a week or 2 weeks to post. It's still the same amount of views I get. It doesn't matter.
I posted. There's one video that I posted, I think 2 weeks ago, and that's still slowly climbing in views. It's like 38. I think it's like at 38,000 views now. So it's a very it's a, slow climb, but I thought, normally I have videos that I post them, they hit a little bit and, for like maybe 1,000 or two, and then they kind of just, trickle and, I was like, it's fine. After Instagram did their big update, last year, like the amount of, me seeing those like 30 and 40,000 consecutive views all disappeared, and it became like in the hundreds. And so once I got past the, like, what am I doing wrong, and realizing that it's just the way they changed what they were doing, I didn't really care about the numbers. And so I was just like, oh, I'm putting out what I like to put out, and I get engagement from the people I normally engage with. And, every now and then I may gain a new person, or sometimes it's, but, I spark a conversation or have a good laugh or whatever. And that, that works for me. But yeah, there'll be the random thing that I just put out there. Like I said, I did the one that's slowly at 38. I put out the drum sander video, and I looked at it in the morning. It's like, oh, it had 200 views. Oh, that's fine. And then I get notifications on my phone, and it was like, oh, 75 likes. I'm like, oh, what is that from? And it was like the video had hit 1,000. I'm like, really? All right,
that quick.
Yeah. But that one, and you just, looking at my timeline, it's like, oh, 1,000 here, 2,000 here, 2,000 here. Drum sanding video, 20,000 views. So
yeah, it is weird. Same thing. It's just, it's so inconsistent. And even if you're being consistent, it still doesn't change, so it's kind of like one of those things, don't worry about it. Just put it out there.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. It's relatable, to people. Jen, you're looking for a drum sander, so it's like relatable content. The feedback that I get off of it is like, people in the same situation. And I like that engagement more than making some sort of viral thing where you start getting trolls who are like, oh, well, my drum sander never does that. And, why is your paper so dirty? And I was like, because I use my machine.
That's when you tell them to figure out how to make a profile picture.
Right?
They're so smart,
right?
You're gonna sand your fingers off.
So speaking of the community, you had a post where you were talking about, you have to be yourself and do what you enjoy and stick with the people who are going to support you. So who is your main community? Who are your hype people, like you called it? Who can you count on to encourage you or give you that voice of reason reality check when you need it?
And don't leave anybody out.
Well, to put it simply, the Stoop Kids. So if Joey's ever mentioned, we have this weekly Zoom call that started back during COVID, that we would just get a bunch of kids, a bunch of makers who weren't doing anything. It all started back in Clubhouse. So if anybody actually had Clubhouse, we were all just, on our phones at home or doing whatever, because, in our shops. And then that transitioned to the weekly Zoom call where we just kind of sit around and chit chat. Some people are in the shop. Some people are just having a drink and doing whatever. But it's like the brain trust. Some people are doing things and we're talking about it, and they're like, hey, I'm trying to, I just made this thing and I want to charge this much for it. And there'll be, Peter Kapar in there. It's like, you're charging too less, like up your prices. Like, that's good. You're worth it. Up your prices. And there's like, people like Dave, 3D Dave, who are just like, hey, try, oh, you're stuck on a 3D print, like try this. So they've been, I would say, the biggest consistent support group for me within the maker community. And I don't have an Etsy store, and I don't produce stuff all the time. I usually do like small, local people, local kind of transactions. So, but it's nice to kind of go. And I was working on a box this weekend, and I've never made one before, and I needed to make a spline jig. And I just looked at the screen and I was like, hey, have any of you made a spline jig? And like two people like who were in their shops just whipped up, like, I got one right here. Like, so, and they're like, oh, do it this way, or I designed mine this way for this reason. So I made like a, quick down and dirty, 20-minute spline jig that got me, across the line with what I was trying to do with the project. So yeah, everybody on the Stoop, so Pete and Dan and Joey and Scott and Dave and Adrian, who started the Stoop, Mustache Matt. So
There he
all
is.
of all of those
He's
guys.
in there. He's in there.
Yeah, it looks like there's
Mhm.
quite a few of them are in the chat.
There's some stoops out there.
Yeah, so that's good.
Oh, can I see the chat, or you just see the chat? How does that work?
He should be
I thought you could
on
see.
your
Here, I'll
right-hand
put
side
them
of-
up there.
Oh, there it is. Yes, I was under private chat. Oh, so
Jason.
yeah, Jason. Yep. So
Mustache Matt is in there too, but he's.
I think you got
He's
a
up
question
there,
up there, Jen, from Mike Doyle for Kimani.
He must
Yeah, he
ask
said
you a
that
question.
you asked his question.
Oh, okay.
Joey.
Okay. All right.
It was about the project. Which video did you like best?
Yeah.
And Joey asked that. So
Okay.
So
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
thought I was gonna say, Jen, it's your turn, but I guess she already asked.
Yes, she asked a question.
Go ahead.
Pay attention, Joey.
So,
Get off your stoop. Get off your high stoop.
so you got you got the CNC going, you got the laser, you got the 3D printer, you got all this stuff going on. You got your software. How are you keeping it? What software are you using? For one, and if you have any software that you don't recommend.
So for the CNC, I use Vectric, and I love it. It's been great. So I started with my first CNC machine was a Shapeoko, and I had Carbide Create, and for not knowing much about CNC and how they work, it was a great learning software. But as I got deeper in and started hanging out in the forums, everybody was like, "Oh, Vectric, do this, do that, do that." I can do all these things, and I was like, "Oh, well, maybe I need to look at it." So I kind of checked it out, and I was like, "Oh, man, this is a whole different world when it comes to like creating and designing and making stuff." So so there was a lady who was selling her machine, and she was like, "Well, I got a copy of Vectric," so I was able to buy it for like half off from her. They transferred the license over, and so I started working with Vectric, and I've been doing that ever since for all my CNC stuff and design. And then for my laser Lightburn, I don't think there's a program out there that I know of that's better for laser work than Lightburn right now. It's just so easy to use, and a lot of people don't know that it has like a trace tool inside there that is phenomenal. So even if you're working with if you don't have like Adobe Illustrator and you're working with something like Affinity Design, and you want like to trace out like a nice outline, like it helps so much. So there have been a lot of times where I was trying to do a surprise gift for somebody, and so I'll go snatch their logo, throw it into the program, and get a nice get super crispy, for the most part, depending on how complicated it is, but able to get their logo and then fix it, fix my lines, fix it, whatever, and then do like a nice laser engraving. So I would say those two are my main. I'm learning Fusion. I don't know of any other 3D modeling programs that will cross connect between using 3D modeling and the 3D printer, and also has the function to create 3D carves. So Fusion's the next one that I'm trying to dig into. Those are my main three that I work with when I'm doing any of the design or creation stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So you make things from wood, acrylic, 3D printing, just to name a few. Do you have a favorite and least favorite medium to work with?
I think overall, I like wood and epoxy. I think I like the creative aspect of epoxy, like custom colors and the design that I can do and just bring a new dimension to certain things. Like I can carve it out on my CNC and then do color inlays and create a whole design out of epoxy. So epoxy was one of the big things that got me really interested into it. I think it was Black Forest Woodco up in Canada. They were just sending out all of those videos of like epoxy pours, and I was like, I have to do that. Like I have to do it. I have to do it at least one time. And so, not realizing how expensive epoxy was at the time, I just kind of kept, I waited until it was like a Black Friday sale. I bought some, I think Eco Epoxy was the first epoxy I bought because that's what they were using. And I found a piece of wood at a lumber yard. And I was like, how much for this? And he was like, I don't even know what that is. $5. And so I think later on I found out it was like a piece of Madrona. But yeah, he was just, I just made this small, 15 by 15 square with epoxy in it. And then from there, I really got into it. So I think I like the versatility of epoxy and with wood as a medium, because there's just so much you can do. I don't know if I have a finishing is one of the processes that I probably like the least. If it's anything outside of applying like a wax or a hard oil to something, when it comes into like certain types of sprays or what like that, I think that's probably the one I like the least, only because of how much work it takes. I was spraying shellac for the last 2 days, and it's just that getting it in the air. And so like I was trying to bring it inside so it stays warm and it dries faster, but then like the house starts to smell like shellac. So I was like, I got to get it out before the wife gets home. So now I'm like running back and forth between the garage to do like spray coats. But I mean, it worked fantastic, but I think I'll switch to to just the liquid based shellac to just apply the coats. But yeah. I say finishing. I mean, it's not really a medium, but it is a process that I'm kind of like, no. But yeah, not a fan.
It's got to be a funny sight walking out your shop wearing a hazmat suit as well.
Just
sure their rules.
Giant mask on out of my all white kill shop with my giant mask on
with a big black light,
right? Days I wonder what the neighbors think, because they'll, my garage, their porch is higher than where I live, so they can stand on their garage and see me over the fence line. And some days I'm just fully decked out. I got my hoodie on, I got the mask on. I'm just coming out of the shop, just walking back and forth, like all sorts of like mechanical sounds are coming out of there. But they're just out there chilling.
So I can see him spray painting red.
I've done that a few times. It's just paint. It's just paint. The gloves come on.
Oh man. So I've seen that you have the Surf Prep 3x5, right?
The Ray. Yeah.
How do you like it? Because I've kind of been looking at it, and it just seems like it's good, like for contour stuff with that sponge sand on it. So the deal, how have you liked that sander?
So I haven't been able to put it fully through its paces. I have some projects coming up with the trays, but being able to use it and kind of get hands-on with it at some of the shows was like it's great. Like the sander itself is great, but the star of the show is really the paper and the contouring like foaming pads, because just being able to like do a I think I saw Lee do it, like being able to like get into a juice groove and just being able to contour the paper to fit and just work, and you're not just sitting there with like a scraper or something kind of get in there. But yeah, that's the main reason I got it. I was just like, there are so many uses in this, like the paper, the sander, and just the size and dimensions of it. Having a square rectangular sander to kind of get into some of these corners with this pad is something that really, what I see me making in the next year is going to be very crucial to have to like speed up the process, because I don't have a bunch of time in the shop. So, I try to invest in the tools that will, get me in, let me do what I need to do, and then run back into the house because, my 2-year-old did something to her sister. So, it's just the back and forth of like taking care of both.
Nice. Cool.
You got, we have time for a speed round.
All right.
Oh,
let's
quick.
Go. If you could go back when you first started making, if you could go back knowing everything you know now, what would you go back and tell yourself to help yourself out?
Get a hold off, wait for the Onefinity CNC to come out, because that's what you're really going to want. Go ahead and invest the money to get a bigger laser, and
you got a lot to say.
don't make that table.
That table.
Yeah. You might need me on for a second story about that table, but yes, basically tell myself that first. Like, hey, whatever you do, just don't make that table. Just say no. Don't make that table.
There you go.
Okay, so my final question. Everybody enjoys your funny videos. Your personality really comes through in your work. You mentioned that your wife loves a good dad joke. I myself love a good dad joke. So what's your number one dad joke?
This is the one that will get her, even before I finish it, will get her to laugh. And it's, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
Well done. Well done.
Yes. Every time I just walk up to her and I just go, hey, Shay, what do you want? I'm like, what do you call a fish with no eyes? She just starts giggling. So,
all right, no budget in mind. What's the next tool?
Kind of. You always say like your last tool is like, I don't need anything else, but it's like,
there's always something in the back of your brain.
Yes, it's the lie we tell ourselves. I'm good now.
I'm good,
Until yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Is it a space requirement too, or could you wish for more space?
Okay, I wish for more space because the housing market out here is terrible. I need a garage large enough to live in.
Come on back to Atlanta.
So that's very true. Well, you get the money's good out here. But I would either say maybe a larger plane, probably either a larger planer or a larger laser, just because I know I could it would open a couple more opportunities. The planer is just for speed, but the laser I think would open a few more doors. So unless I can just use that money to buy a bigger house, then I'll do that one.
There you go. What is your worst bad habit in the shop?
Analysis paralysis. I will literally stand there overthinking what I need to do, or over planning. When I was in the shop this weekend, I was standing there going, well, I'm cutting all this wood. Let me go ahead and cut the wood for 3 other projects. And then I stood there staring at my lumber rack like, what do I want to use? Do I want to use this? And it was like a good 15 to 20 minutes of just me standing there debating with myself about, do I want to cut this now? Do I want to cut this later? Do I want to stop and just work on one project? And it eventually, like 20 minutes went by and I was like, I got to get back in the house. Yeah, I'll just work on the one. I'm in no rush. I don't need to stack everything up. So analysis paralysis and over complicating simple projects.
It's only bad if you answer
There you
yourself.
Go. Who out in the community or just anybody in general that you would love to meet?
Ooh.
Or we can narrow it down. Let's just say the community. So if that makes it any easier, that you haven't met yet, of course.
That is, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know.
Great question, Joey.
Yeah, that's
that wasn't.
Stomp the gas.
Yeah,
You win.
Winner.
Yeah, there's so many people who create such awesome things out there, and I've seen their like video. There's a guy whose name I don't know. And I can like tag a video of his or whatever, but he does these very like stop motion 3D to reality versions of these projects that he does. So he's like making like a small tissue box, but he'll go from like his shaper design and then zoom in to the product and then zoom back out to design. And then I would probably like to meet him just to figure out how he does his project. Cause I'm a visual person, and every time I see his content, it just captivates me to like keep watching, because it's very strategic the way he does it. And in terms of like, he'll show you the 3D rendering of the side of the box, and then he zooms in and it's the actual wood, and then it's just like stop motion. So yeah, if I can remember his name, and I think it's something in German, which is why I can't remember it, but I would say I would like to meet him, and if there's not a language barrier, like pick his brain on how he does that.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, this is the time where we take here, Kimani, if you have anything coming up that you want to put out there. We're just going to start wrapping it up. So here's your chance to just tell the world.
I am working on another whiskey box, because I cut enough material for 2. I got some more YouTube content coming out. I'm trying to push that really hard within the next year. My birthday is in January, and I'm actually gonna slow down a little bit in January, focus on some internal things, because I've been out and shop a lot, but and Workbench Con's coming up, and I get to be a part of the newbie team, so the first timers club. So anybody who's going to Workbench for the first time, I'm going to be a part of the introductory committee to kind of make sure everybody feels welcome, feels like they know somebody there, and try to make it as enjoyable of a time as it can. So yeah, that's what's going on right now.
Awesome. All right. Jen.
Oh, thank you for being with us tonight, Kimani. We enjoyed it. What do I have going on? I finished up all the Christmas orders. Thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord on Christmas.
Exactly. Thankful for the orders and thankful they're done. Tomorrow morning, I will be on Good Day Sacramento again. So trying to finish up getting ready for that.
Nice.
Matt, superstar.
So I went through and got most of my shop cleaned up, got ready to do a shop tour video, and realized I wanted to change everything. So I'm doing that now. And so I'm moving everything from the left side of the shop to the right side of the shop. So it'll be a minute before I shoot that video, but it'll be a minute before I get everything stored back where I want it. And I might be ordering a Onefinity thing. Thanks a lot. But so that's where I'm at.
Hold on, do you have an affiliate code there, Kimani?
Not yet. Working on it.
He's working on it, man. There you go, Jamie. Bye.
I am getting back on the lathe and doing some more turning this week. For my videos, they are going to be changing from a Sunday premiere to probably a Monday premiere in the new year. And then we've got things to do on a Saturday. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Saturday, we got Saturday morning cartoons. We're going to be giving away a couple of turning blanks. Jamie's making me give everybody that goes and watches the show a Christmas gift. So we're doing that. And then this week we're going to be making silicone molds, and the silicone molds we make on the show will be given away the week after. So come and see us and tell Jamie to stop spending my money.
Man. Well, my vacation is winding down, and I absolutely got nothing accomplished because of those printers there. I went down a rabbit hole and been messing with them for 3 weeks. Yay! But I did get the desktop put on. We're going to continue on that build. And yeah, there's nothing done. Anyhow, if you watch, or not watch, but listen to the podcast on your podcast platform, or especially on iTunes, please leave us a review. And remember, 10 stars.
10.
10.
10.
I can't say the other part of it, but we want 10. Kimani, thank you for coming on. It was awesome chatting with you. Next week, it's just going to be a chat session between us, kind of just talking about the year and what we're going to possibly do next year. But other than that, I guess that's it. We're going to pause. Thanks, everybody out in the chat, for joining us, and we will see y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas, everyone.